Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the Kansas City Public School Board of Directors meeting for March the 9th, 2022. Welcome. This meeting is called to order. June, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Abarca.
Present.
Ms. Buckner.
Here.
Ms. Cortez.
Here.
Ms. Ford.
Yes.
Dr. Jones.
Yes.
Ms. Wolfsey. Mr. Hogan.
Here. All right. We would like to approve the agenda, but I'd like to make a suggestion, and maybe we can get a motion for this, to move the COVID-19 protocol update further up the agenda to right after the regular business items. So we would start with we'd start with the review of the action items. Then we would go to Integrity Energy Partners and then go to the COVID-19 update and proceed from there as the agenda is stated. So is there a motion to make that change?
So moved.
Second. Oh, sorry.
All right, June, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Abarca.
Yeah.
Ms. Buckner.
Yes.
Ms. Cortez.
Yes.
Ms. Ford.
Yes.
Dr. Jones.
Yes.
Ms. Wolfsey.
Nine. Yes.
Mr. Hogan.
Yes, the motion passes. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. All right, June, will you please do a review of the old action items for us?
There was one action item, pardon me for not being ready, that had to do with, I have to find my agenda on what was that one action item. It was provided for the board in the February 25th update.
So there are no open action items
There are
today?
no open action item.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, well, with that being said, Dr. Bedell, I'll turn it over to you for the regular business item.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. We do have one regular business item that we're asking the board to take action on. Integrity Energy Partners, LLC, in the amount of $461,625. The administration requests approval of this agreement, which is phase one of our ESSER capital planning efforts. This phase will include identifying specific mechanical, electrical, plumbing repairs, and upgrades noted generally in our ACI Bolin study. The repairs and improvements will be prioritized, bundled, and scoped for bidding based on the highly detailed information received from Integrity. The contract will also result in energy savings efforts and plans. This work will be funded from ESSER 2 funding. Once complete, the plan for use of ESSER 3 capital allocations will be brought to the board for authorization. This phase of agreement has no MBE, WBE participation. However, the larger phase 2 will have an estimated 12% of MBE, WBE contracts. At this time, we will ask the board to take action on this matter.
Thank you, Dr. Bedell. Any questions? Mr. Abarca.
I think one comment that I think this is a great opportunity for us to start to realize the opportunity we will have with these ESSER dollars coming in, potentially as we look for more funding to really put in place some policy around the environmental sustainability components, that we can really move this district in a way that's sustainable for our future, as well as improving upgrades that we need to do. So thank you to you, Dr. Bedell, and the board for looking at this favorably.
Yes.
Not seeing any additional questions. So is there a motion to approve the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to approve C-2205 MEP and energy assessment with Integrity Energy Partners, LLC, in the amount of $461,625?
So moved.
Second.
All right, June, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Abarca.
Yes.
Ms. Buckner.
Yes.
Ms. Cortez.
Yes.
Ms. Ford.
Yes.
Dr. Jones.
Yes.
Ms. Wolfsey.
Yes.
Mr. Hogan.
Yes, the motion passes. Dr. Bedell?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. We will now move into the superintendent's report, and as you all heard, we wanted to make an amendment to move the COVID-19 protocols update. We think that it's timely in order for us to do that, given the fact that we have a lot of individuals that will be recognized today, and it will be a great opportunity for us to be able to move forward with the picture taking and all of those things that go with the recognitions. So for this presentation, I want to bring Sarah up, who is basically our COVID compliance officer, who will take us through the presentation and the recommendation that we move to mask optional.
Hi, good evening, board members. Good evening, Dr. Bedell. Good evening, families, students, what a great night to be here and to give you our update on COVID-19 proposed protocol changes and strategies. As you know, the CDC updated their guidance just right at the end of February to go to I call it a mask forecast, okay? So through the communities, they're looking at different counties and they're saying, okay, the community spread in Jackson County, Missouri is at what level? X level, so green, yellow, or red. And so that takes into account a lot of different factors that the CDC needs to take into account, which is hospital capacity, community spread, all those different things. So it takes me, fortunately, out of the business of needing to play gumshoe epidemiologist and puts that information right in the hands of the CDC to get that right to our district so we can make the best decisions for our families and students at any given time. The CDC is updating that guidance weekly. We've consulted with the health department as well as our local community health partners. And so what we're recommending at this time, since Kansas City is in Jackson County, Missouri, and is currently in the yellow zone, we are going to a mask optional requirement at this time. We intend to make it effective immediately tomorrow. I just got word on my app that it's a snow day tomorrow for schools. So I guess we'll be putting this in practice on Friday. So that's if the slides, if you have any questions, I'm sorry. If you have any questions about the slides, I can just give you a preview of what our dashboard will now look like. We'll take off the information regarding cases within the schools and within the district and within our zip code boundaries, and we're going to go to our green, yellow, red masking forecast system. Now, people can wear masks. No one is saying that anyone should go without a mask if they are immune compromised, if they have family members that are immune compromised. There are a number of circumstances in which those masks, you would want to wear a mask. And that information will all be on the data dashboard to explain to families and parents and stakeholders for them to look at. So this is our mask forecast. Is it a mask day or no mask day? It's not going to be that quick. It's not going to flip day to day. We're expecting that the CDC will have that guidance for us weekly as they have for the past 2 to 3 weeks at this point. Right now, as I stated, Jackson County is at medium risk, which means masking would be optional. And then people that are immunocompromised have those issues that they're just not comfortable going without a mask. We certainly support that. So as we look forward to summer school for 22-23, we're going to stick with our community health partner and CDC guidance and of course assess as we approach the school year next year. Children's Mercy will still continue to provide systematic testing at all of our summer school sites. Ginkgo will provide that screening testing at all of our summer school sites. And then for fall, looking towards surveillance testing from Children's Mercy. We haven't heard from Ginkgo yet, who's our state sponsor, Missouri state sponsored testing. And then for fall, look forward to full-scale in-person activities for staff, students, parents, and stakeholders if we hold at the level we are now. Does anyone have any questions or any concerns that you have at this time that I may assist?
Mr. Abarca?
Yeah, just some questions. It sounds like you might have some of these protocols set in place, but God forbid we have another wake of another variant.
Sure.
What measures do we have in place to make sure that we're monitoring changes and we can swiftly go back if needed?
We will continue to monitor the CDC website and work with our local health partners and the health department in making those decisions, just as we have since the beginning.
But I guess my question
Sure.
is about the monitoring component, internal schools. Are we going to do any of those or spot checking, any changes? I mean, obviously, if there's something big, we're all going to know about it. But if it happens quickly within our schools, are we just changing all of courses there? No more tracking and understanding?
Well, I think what we found, Board Member Abarca, is that school spread directly reflects community spread. There hasn't been any difference. It's been hand in hand the whole time. If we have, like, let's say we have a cluster of cases that pop up in a school for some reason, we would consult with our health department right away and make decisions from there. Just like we do with any type of endemic or pandemic situation with influenza or anything like that as to what would be appropriate for that time.
And this is still an encouragement of getting vaccines and the booster and...
Yes, I'm always looking for that community partner who's willing to come to our schools to help us with that endeavor.
Ms. Wolfsey?
Would you mind just explaining, because I'm not sure I understand the difference between surveillance and screening testing?
Sure. So surveillance testing is just randomized testing that occurs in the schools, and screening testing is for symptomatic testing.
Ms. Ford.
What kind of, I guess, final open encouragement maybe can we give to parents who've communicated their concern about us relaxing our mask mandate?
I can tell you this, Board Member Ford. Kansas City Public Schools has, in my humble opinion, has done an excellent job of following the science thus far, which we continue to do. Kansas City Public Schools at this time is at a less than 1% transmission rate throughout its students and staff. If there's ever a time to go to a place where we would feel comfortable as with masking as an option, this is our time. Not saying it's going to be the same tomorrow or next month or next week, but now is our time.
Yep, go ahead, Dr. Bedell.
Yeah, so I want to first and foremost thank the community, because if you followed what has happened around this country with how people with the mask or mask not debate behaved, the board members being threatened across the country, superintendents quitting because of the debate, I think for us, we've been very blessed with the amount of grace that you all have offered us. And as you know, over these 2 years, we weren't in the news or the newspaper for mishandling how we've conducted ourselves with this virus. We took it seriously, we followed the science, and I'll be the first to tell you, I couldn't wait until we were able to make this announcement today, because at this point, my mask is off. I feel very comfortable being out and about without the mask on, and I am looking forward to us coming back to some level of normalcy. And I think what I want everybody to understand, we are going to have to live with this. Right? This is one of those once in 100-year type of pandemics that have occurred, and we happen to be here to live through it. And at the end of the day, we will be very responsible. We will respond, and we will make sure that we're doing everything in our power to make sure that safety above all else prevails in this school district. But we will stick to the data as we make these decisions. And I just want to thank faculty and staff, our teachers, our students, and this community as a whole, and our board for supporting us in the decisions that we've made over the last 2 years.
And Sarah and Lauren as well, right? I mean, you guys have been on the front lines of this, so.
Well, I would speak for Lauren as well. We just appreciate the opportunity to serve our students and community. So thank you very much. We'll be around, I think, unfortunately, and we'll still be monitoring. So just know that we will stay atop of what's going on in the scientific community with the virus, and we're hoping we're just at a place where we'll become in an endemic stage and be out of pandemic soon.
Yep.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. I do think it's interesting too, Dr. Bedell, that you differentiated between news and the newspaper. So there's something there we probably should talk about. Or anyway, okay, we'll move on. Back to you for the superintendent report, Dr. Bedell.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. And this is where we are ready to move into our recognitions. We want to first start off with our board recognition. As you all know, serving as a school board member, or I'll even say as a superintendent, I don't know why that's even in here. That this is from MSBA, so let's take the superintendent out. Serving as a school board member is often a thankless job, and that's never been more true than during this past year. Yet school leaders devote countless hours to making critical decisions that benefit the public school students in our communities and throughout the state. To honor board members, Governor Parson has designated the week of March 6 through 12, 2022 as Missouri School Board Recognition Week. The goal of this week is to increase awareness and understanding of the crucial function of an elected Board of Education and how they play in the success and advancement of our public schools. Enclosed with this mailing are certificates to assist you in recognizing board members, and you all will receive that in a few minutes, in their community and their service. And then if you want to look at additional Recognition Week resources, they are posted on the MSBA website at www.mosba.org. Thank you for your support of School Board Recognition Week, and thank you for the leadership, encouragement, and advocacy you provide to your local school district. This comes from MSBA President and also the Executive Director, Melissa Randall. So all I can say is thank you, and we have a presentation for you all as a part of our Recognition Day. Let's run with the video, and then we will do a presentation.
This will take a minute. I like to have fun with her.
What else?
I like to watch movies,
What else?
eat candy. Love you, Mom. I will be back after school. She always likes to go outside, and she always likes to do her work and go outside. My mother, she likes to be lazy sometimes. She eats a lot of ocean food. Oh, no meat. No meat. She doesn't eat any meat. Just except for meatballs. Except for meatballs. I usually eat anything. And my most favorite food, you might already know, is Chipotle. Just the cheese quesadilla. I only like cheese quesadilla with chips and guacamole. And sometimes I just dip it into the guacamole. Do you like it too?
I do.
It's honestly glad to see her do this because I know she genuinely enjoys it. It's like kind of like a safe space for her. Like, we all have our safe spaces, but for her particularly, like helping people out, especially like in the school and having children in this school district, it helps her a lot. It's like a stress reliever in a way because she's made friends. She's met so many new people, so many important people, and I can see it brings her pure joy.
And she's on the school board, right?
Yes. She's the leader. She's the leader. That's all I know. That's all I know about my mom. And one thing I like about her is she's the best. And I really mean it, okay? What's that door over there? You? No, I thought he was Martin Luther King. I thought that was him.
Do you know who the superintendent of Kansas City Public Schools is?
That guy?
So who's the boss, your mom or this guy?
You. Him.
You know what? Actually, your mom is one of his bosses. As a board member. Mind blown, right?
Yeah, because seeing all the things that she has done over these past 6 years, it's honestly incredible to see that she's worked so hard to get to this point.
I don't really know much about what she does in the school board, but she helps the school board do its job, and she thinks about the younger kids and other stuff. Well, she. I don't know much. I don't know what she does on there. Mostly she just goes to her office and she gets me and my sister fruities.
I wish the school board meeting was a little bit shorter, so she can have time to get dinner. Because every time when she has a school board meeting and we already ate dinner, we will probably go to bed and she has to eat her dinner, the leftover. Also to tuck us in.
Can I tell you about my pantry? Full of food. Full. Snacks, fruit snacks, candy.
Especially, so Wednesday she has board meetings. I'm pretty sure it's every other Wednesday, and I have gymnastics Wednesday. And so basically my dad then has to drive me. She's home like late, like 9, sometimes 9:30. And then there's like days where I have like my meets and she's not able to come. And so then it's kind of like, oh, she's not there. It's kind of like, well, now I have to do good so then she can see the videos afterwards. It's stuff like that. But I know that she's working hard while she's there. So I understand.
That's awesome. All right.
Thank you, Daddy. Thank you for serving on the school board.
Thank you for serving on a school board.
Thank you, Mom, for making the school a better place, and I thank you for going and I like that you work so hard on the school board, and for being a good mom.
I'm just genuinely proud of you and how far you've come, like, because when you started, I remember you going out every day to get signatures just to make sure you got your spot on that board, and you went out and you did it again so you could have another 4 years. So I'm just genuinely proud of how hard and how far you've come and how hard you worked.
Thank you, Mommy. I appreciate you serving on the school board.
All right, we will do the presentation of the gifts, and then we would ask to get a group picture.
Okay, if we can get you all with the logo in the center, that would be ideal, please. Yes, please. You got it?
I got it. Can they squeeze in?
Yeah, can we squeeze a little bit closer, please?
We know how to do this. Okay.
We might have to double
Squeeze
up
in
a little bit.
There we go. Squeeze. Manny, can you go that way, sir? Sweet. Okay, ready? All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh. All right, ready?
All right, Mr. Chair, we are ready to move on now. It is time for us to move through the remainder of the recognitions. We will start off with our scholar superstars, our terrific teammates, outstanding administrators, community champions, and the Sankofa Oratory Contest winners. So for this piece, I will call Kelly Wachu up. I believe it's on you at this point, and we will be ready to get our pictures in.
All right, good evening, Board of Directors, Dr. Bedell. This is one of our favorite times when we get to recognize students and teachers and administrators in our district for the good work happening in our schools and in our community. So we typically start with our Scholar Superstars. And team in the back, I'm going to go ahead and move. Okay, perfect. So first, I know that Miss Enders said that he was here, but can we have Jay Rodriguez please come up? Kindergartner at Wheatley Elementary School. Jay, come here, buddy. Can you come stand right there? Right there. Yes. All right, Jay. Jay, you're a kindergartner, right? Okay, who's this? Who is this? Who's this? Your teacher. All right. So Jay was nominated by Linda Silva, and this is what Miss Silva said about Jay. Jay is always a source of positivity for our classroom. Anytime he sees a student excelling in academics, he tells them he is so proud of them. Additionally, he is working above grade level and continues to persevere when faced with a new, challenging academic topic. Everyone needs at least one Jay in their classroom. Congratulations, Jay! Okay, so this is for you. We're going to bend it down for you, okay? Come over here on this side so we can reach you. Can you reach that?
Yeah.
Speak right in there. Right here. Okay.
I am a scholar superstar because I help teachers. I am a scholar superstar because I help kids. I am a scholar superstar.
I
am a
proud.
because I am a scholar superstar.
Yay! Is Jay's family here? Oh, she doesn't want to come up. Okay. Jay, congratulations, buddy. Thank you for being here. Jay, you're an awesome reader and writer. Nice work. Okay, next Scholar Superstar we have is Jay-Sean Rushing. Jay-Sean, come on up here. All right. Go right up front. All right, Jay-Sean Rushing, 12th grader, Kansas City Virtual Academy. So this is his teacher who nominated him for this award tonight. Jay-Sean enrolled as credit deficient. He said he couldn't do it. He was sure he couldn't do the work and was positive he could not be successful. Last semester, Jay-Sean was able to not only pass all of his classes, but he did so and made the honor roll. This semester, he is once again working diligently to ensure that he's passing all of his classes. He asks questions when he has them, he's in constant contact with us, and he's showing himself, most importantly to him, his mom, Mom's back here, hey Mom, that he can do the work and he can graduate. He's rising above what he thought were insurmountable odds to be successful, and I could not be prouder of him. Jay-Sean, congratulations. Dr. Bedell's admiring his attire. Yes, the shoes. Come on, Mom. Come on, Mom. Oh, yep. Come on. Hop on up there. All the more. More the merrier. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Awesome. Congratulations, Shayshawn. All of the kids, congratulations. All of the students are getting gift cards too, so we'll have gift cards for you all as Scholar Superstars. All right, next we have a group of ELL students at Northeast Middle School. So Miss O'Donnell, can you bring all of your kids up? Here we come. So these Northeast Middle School students were all nominated by Miss O'Donnell. And we have Shabani, Nancy, and David, who are all beginner ELL students in Kansas City Public Schools. All right, here we go. So, Miss O'Donnell, thank you for being here. All right, so this is what Miss O'Donnell said about Shabani. Shabani, raise your hand. This is Shabani. He absolutely stands out among his peers. He has incredible self-discipline with his studies and always puts his academics first. He's dedicated to learning, doing his best, and trying no matter the circumstance. He has shown to be a positive influence on the other students and inspires them to work hard in class and stay focused on their work. He is so kind to other students and is such a special 8th grader. Shabani, congratulations. And Shabani came in the fall, is that right, Miss O'Donnell? Okay. Nancy, raise your hand. Hi, Nancy. Okay, Nancy is a very new beginner ELL student, but she has already assumed a place of leadership. She's extremely kind, helpful, patient, and driven. She makes incredible connections in her learning and goes above and beyond to do well as well as she possibly can in class. She goes out of her way to help other students and shows extremely impressive maturity in how she helps other students learn. She's an overall outstanding student and deserves so much recognition. Congratulations, Nancy. Thanks, Noah. And then David. David, hello. Also a beginner ELL student and stands out among his peers. The first thing about David is his huge heart. He cares so much about other people and goes out of his way to ask teachers how they are, see how he can help, and help other students in any way he can. He's incredibly driven to learn and shows impressive self-discipline in class. He's reliable, consistently has wonderful participation, and he inspires other students to do their best in class. Stay focused and be respectful. Congratulations, David. Shabani's soccer coach too, right here. Yeah. Awesome soccer player. Yay. Awesome. Yes. Yes. And your families. Would you like to go here? All right, Andrew, can you bring up your kids next, please? The next kids are the DECA students at Northeast High School, nominated by Mr. Andrew, I need to pronounce your last name correctly. Correo. All right, so we have, as part of the DECA team, we'll get him up here and then we'll have you guys say who you are. Correo. All right, we have Michaela Marshall. That was Michaela. Jamal Edward. Bao Win. We have, I know Justin's here. Justin, what's your last name? Remind me. Yes, Justin Campbell. Tarman Hussein, Miley Rivers. Malia, Anila Bland, Anila, and Amicia Mapul. So congratulations, guys. Here's why you were nominated. These students are the first DECA team at Northeast High School in a long time. These students competed at districts and walked away with 3 individual awards and are now sending 2 of their members to our state competition. These students have worked hard to be leaders and role models in our school. They represent our district well at competitions and have been a big part of installing a culture of excellence at Northeast High School. Congratulations, guys. Andrew, anything you want to say about this group? We had some who went to Boston. A couple of you went to Boston. Anything you want to say, Andrew, about them? He'll never turn on a chance to say something.
Just that these guys are instrumental in like changing the culture of our school. We're very proud of them. So,
Microphone.
You guys rock. We like you.
Dr. Irvin, come up here, please.
They don't need me in there.
You should.
This is their moment. They don't need me in there. Okay.
Yes, you do. Here you go. Taking his picture. You use your phone to take pictures. Do you want me to do that for you? All right, Dr. There you go. Squeeze in there, guys. Find your window. Perfect. Thank you. Michaela.
Wow,
Yeah, there you go.
that hair,
Okay.
Jamal.
Looking at Lynn first. Over here. They're all looking that way.
Jamal, I can't with your hair, buddy.
Everybody should open up their thing though, because some of you have them open. There we go.
Okay. All right, let's all look this way. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Congratulations.
Congratulations, guys. Congratulations. Thank you guys for coming. Yeah, thank you. Good job, Michaela. Thanks, guys. Congratulations. All right. Justin says he wants to do one of our student social media takeovers, so we're going to take him up on that. All right, and then the last Scholar Superstars we have, Jacoy and Lanaya. Can you guys come up, please? Hey, Lanaya. All right, Jacoy and Lanaya. Oh, yes, I want to click. I'm trying to multitask here. Okay, Jacoy, 10th grader, right? Lincoln Prep. Lanaya Eaton, 6th grader, foreign language, right? All right, do you know why you're here tonight? You're here because you're the Boys and Girls Club National Youth of the Year. Yay! All right, congratulations to Jacoy and Lanaya for being recognized by the J&D Wagner Unit, the Boys and Girls Club of America's National Youth of the Year program. Jacoy's a sophomore at Lincoln College Prep, and Lanaya is a 6th grader at Foreign Language Academy. Since 1947, Youth of the Year has been the premier recognition program for Boys and Girls Club, celebrating the extraordinary achievements of club members by demonstrating that they embody the values of leadership, service, academic excellence, and healthy lifestyles. Congratulations, you guys. I do see the Boys and Girls Club here too. Thank you for joining us tonight. Hey, how are you, Jamal? Good to see you. Any family members who are here, can you please come up as well? Good job, Maya. All right. All right, that ends our Scholar Superstars. Thank you all for coming, families and kids. We're so glad to have you before the snow day comes tomorrow. All right, next is our Terrific Teammates Award. These are folks nominated by their colleagues and teammates for their wonderful work in the school district. Jennifer Boyd, are you here? Yay, Jennifer Boyd! Jennifer Boyd is a speech language pathologist, and she serves Hartman, Hale Cook, Southeast High, and Central High School. Jennifer, you were nominated by like 7 people. So I highlighted a couple of things we wanted to say about you. Jennifer maintains fabulous relationships with special education, general education, and administration staff in all of her buildings. She consistently mentors new SLPs with meaningful support and leadership. Jennifer goes the extra mile for her coworkers and students. In addition, she serves as one of the Direct Services Social Committee chairs and goes out of her way to recognize all team members, whether it's for a happy or a sad occasion. She has a wonderful spirit and exhibits a passion toward helping students succeed. She's so supportive and does not ask for anything in return. This is from one of your colleagues. I was a new hire this year, and I can say with utmost honesty that I would not have been able to transition into my position and probably wouldn't have stayed in this awesome district without her, and I am forever grateful. Jennifer works so hard, and I have yet to see her take a day off. Take a day off every once in a while. She always has a positive attitude and never complains. She's the most dedicated SLP I have ever known. Congratulations, Jennifer. Yes. And anyone, principals, families, colleagues who are here, please come up. Yes, come on. Take a step back. There we go.
Dr. Bell knows me. We've been doing this long enough. He knows.
Your mom? Oh, thank you for coming.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
Excellent. Jennifer, congratulations. Thank you all for being here. Congratulations on being a fantastic employee. All right, next we have JC Cineros. JC Juan Carlos, come on up. Okay, JC, he's the Real World Learning Specialist at Manual Career and Technical Center. JC, who do you have with you? Sebastian, and your wife's here too right now. Hi, Sebastian. Okay, JC is incredibly efficient and organized. He's a self-starter that leads various initiatives from start to finish. He's our in-house project manager. He performs every task on a high level in the spirit of excellence. He's also forward-thinking and a problem solver. Our organization is lucky to have him. JC is there each day to greet students as they arrive for class at Manual in the afternoon. His biggest assets are his ability to support with project management, and he pushes our entire team to take action, have goals, and keep projects moving to completion. In addition to his new learning role as the specialist, he is still able to support as administrative assistant for the CTE department with those critical tasks such as timesheets. That's important. We are absolutely appreciative of JC and believe he is a great person to receive this honor. Congratulations, JC. I know Dr. McNeil's here. I know if you want to bring your wife up, JC. Any family? Dr. McNeil, do you want to come up here? Come on. And wife. Sebastian. Sebastian.
Got no suit on today.
Oh, you got your sweater vest on. You're good. Sebastian. Sebastian. Hey, buddy. Sebastian. Yes, where's that coming from? So cute.
Awesome.
Congratulations, JC. All right, and our last terrific teammate is Elvira Mendez. Elvira, can you please come up? Elvira is a social studies teacher at Northeast Middle. And she was a fan for the kids who are being organized as well. Elvira is, again, social studies teacher at Northeast Middle. Ms. Mendez works to ensure that her lessons include the strengths of the students and keeps them engaged. She focuses on including different intelligence types and makes lessons interactive. Beyond this, the way Ms. Mendez communicates with the requirements and expectations for students is clear and allows them to be accountable for themselves with her support at all times. I have co-taught with Ms. Mendez for the entire year, and she will not hesitate to share resources and suggestions during my first year at Northeast Middle. She's also very informative in ways to keep myself balanced in the classroom, which is the best way to ensure that I am the best teacher I can be for my own students. Witnessing her processes in the classroom has ensured that I know how I can manage a classroom that is supportive and a community for all in itself. Congratulations, Ms. Mendez. All right, hang on. Any other family or students that want to come up? Are there any of the kids here from Northeast? Well, Miss O, come on. You're just okay. All right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, colleagues, this is important. Northeast Middle. All right. And then, Elvira, if you're going to open up your certificate, perfect. Thank you, Ms. Mendez. All right, outstanding administrators, 2 more. Felina Lane, Miss Lane, come on up. Principal at Whittier Elementary School. Miss Lane, do you want to bring up your other as well? Yes. Come on. All right. Miss Lane was nominated for her strategic vision. Miss Lane has a strong and meaningful focus on student success and staff well-being. She encourages us in a number of ways to meet our high expectations of meeting with families and working with them to solve problems and celebrate successes. She provides us opportunities to come together as a staff, to celebrate one another, and to take the steps we need to maintain our health and wellness in chaotic times. Congratulations, Miss Lane. Yay! And who do we have here tonight? This is Miss Lane's son, Philip. Hello, Philip. All right. Thanks for coming, Philip. Miss Lane, congratulations. Thank you for being here. All right, next outstanding administrator is Ben Richardson. Ben, come on up. Ben's the vice principal at East High School, and he was nominated for his initiative. Mr. Richardson is one of the admin in our building who is willing to return calls and emails and phone calls in a timely manner. He's always willing to pick up slack where others have dropped the ball. He cares about all stakeholders and wants his building to be the best. He goes out of his way to make the faculty's job easier and more efficient. He always has a bubbly, positive attitude. Mr. Richardson shows up for staff and students whenever he's needed. Many of my colleagues and I turn to Mr. Richardson when we need assistance with things ranging from technology to discipline to extracurricular and whatever else in between. He seemingly fills in gaps wherever needed, and he does it cheerfully and thoroughly. Mr. Richardson's support has been a huge benefit to our experience at East, and we're very glad that he is here. Congratulations, Mr. Richardson. And his wife, May, is here. May, do you want to come up? Okay. There she is. I know. Here we go. You're up.
Okay, ready?
Good afternoon. As you guys know, we also like to make sure that we bring our community champions up. Can't hear me? Oh, sorry. Okay. So our community champions are those that go above and beyond for our students year after year. And today we'd like to bring up Lead to Read. So we have Polly Hart. And Lead to Read has been a partner of KCPS for 11 years, and they've focused on supporting our reading curriculum through various programs that they have. One of the programs they have is their reading and mentoring program, where they connect mentors to our students. Their tutoring program that they offer personalized tutoring. Their Reading for Life author partnerships, where they bring in authors to provide real life experiences for our students. And their new Reading is Everywhere program, where they like to provide books. So I would like to bring up Polly Hart.
Thank you so much.
If you want to say a few words, so bring up your board.
Bev, you can come up here. My program manager is here tonight as well. So thank you very much for recognizing Lead to Read. We are so proud to partner with KCPS, and we have mobilized thousands of volunteers to read with and mentor your students. And in response to the pandemic, we've expanded our programming, and you guys have welcomed us in with our new programs and especially our new tutoring program. So thank you, and we are just so proud to partner with you. And this is Bev Leonard, who's our program manager, and she really launched our new tutoring program. It's an individualized tutoring program.
Good evening, Board Chair Hogan, members of the board, and Dr. Badil. My name is Marquise Hall, Manager of Student Diversity and Inclusion Programs, and I am here tonight to share with you the winners of the 2022 Sankofa Oratory Contest. I also want to let you know that we had 120 submissions this year, which was a lot. It was really hard to dig down and choose our top winners, but tonight we're going to do that. And Sankofa reminds us to reflect upon our past as we move forward to the future. I would first like to announce our first place winner for the K through third grade division. It's a second grader named Enoch Moran, and he is from Hartman Elementary. He wanted me to let you know that he loves to read, and he is an amazing reader, even if he hasn't seen the words before. Enoch, will you come on up and deliver your speech, please?
My name is Enoch Moran, and I'm going to recite a poem by Maya Angelou. When you see me sitting quietly, like a sack left on a shelf, don't think I'm you chattering, I'm listening to myself. Hold, stop, don't pity me. Hold, stop, your sympathy. Understand if you got it, otherwise I'll do without it. When my bones are stiff and aching, and my feet won't climb the stair, I only ask one favor, don't bring me no rocking chair. When you see me walking, stumbling, don't stun and get it wrong, 'cause tired don't mean lazy, and ever goodbye ain't gone. I'm the same person that was back then, a lot less hair, a lot less chin, a lot less lungs, and much less wind. But ain't lucky, I can still breathe in.
Stay right here, stay right here. Can we have Enoch's family and the Hartman family please come on up to take a picture with Dr. Badil? For 4th through 6th grade division, we have Alondra Anderson. Alondra Anderson is a 4th grader at Hartman Elementary. She likes drawing, baking, and spending time with her family. Alondra, can you please come on up?
Hello, my name is Alondra Anderson. I'm going to recite a poem, Black is Beautiful, by Sharon D. Brown Rogers. Black is Black is as beautiful as a bed of milky white clouds. Black is as beautiful as soft as a newborn baby's hair. Black is as beautiful as standing up for what is right. Black is as beautiful as trying on grandma's classy hats. Black is as beautiful as you and I saying hi. Black is as beautiful as the bright rising sun. Black is as beautiful as a simple kiss placed on your forehead. Black is as beautiful as lilies on an Easter morning. Black is as beautiful as saying I love you. Black is me, and I am beautiful.
Hartman family and Alondra's family, please come on up. All right, for our 7th through 8th grade division, our first place winner was Lawson Small. Lawson is an 8th grader at AC Prep Lower. He loves sports. More specifically, he loves track, football, basketball, and he also enjoys art. Lawson, will you please come on up and share your speech with us?
Hi, my name is Lawson Small, and I'm in 8th grade, and I'm from African Center College Preparatory Academy. I will be giving you an excerpt from the Martin Luther King Jr. speech, Loving Your Enemies. So I want to turn your attention to this subject, loving your enemies. It's so basic to me because it is a part of my basic philosophical and theological whole orientation of love, the whole philosophy of love. In the 5th chapter, recorded by St. Matthew, we read these very arresting words flowing from the lips of our Lord and Master. Ye have heard, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Do good to them that hate you, and pray for them that despitefully use you, that ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. Certainly, these are great words, words lifted to cosmic proportions. And over the centuries, many persons have argued that this is a very glorious and difficult command. Many would go so far as to say that it just isn't possible to move into the actual practice of this glorious command. They would go on to say that this is just additional proof that Jesus was an impractical idealist who never quite came down to earth. So the arguments abound. But far from being an impractical idealist, Jesus has become the practical realist. Far from being practical realist, the words from this text glitter in our eyes. Glitter in our eyes. Far from being a utopian dream, glitter in our eyes. This is a necessity for our This is our necessity for the survival of our civilization. Far from being the Okay. Yeah. Apologies.
It's okay. It's okay. You did good. All right. It was. Great job, Lawson. Can I get the family of Lawson to come on up and Professor Polk and the rest of the AC Prep family? All right. And for our high school division, 9th through 12th grade, our first place winner was Princess McKinney Kiop. Princess is an 11th grader at Paseo. She's also a fashion major. And she found the poem that she will recite to us in the 7th grade, and it has really resonated well with her. So she's going to present her speech to us today.
Good evening. I am Princess McKinney Kiop of Paseo Academy of the Fine and Performing Arts, and this is Intro, written by Raina Biddy. My condolences to anyone who's ever lost me, and to anyone who got lost in me, or to anyone who ever felt they took a loss with me. My apologies for the misunderstanding or the lack thereof. I'm sorry you missed the God in me, and I'm sorry you missed the light. I'm sorry you forgot the way I arose like the moon night after night with the burden to forgive, eager to feed you everything. See, I'm a holy woman. I know what it's like to give life to a being without ever needing to press skin against one another. I practiced how to hold my tongue long enough. I'm afraid I forgot to say goodbye. I'm afraid you were under the impression that I was made to please you. I was under the impression you understood me better. The truth is, I'm a superwoman. And some days I'm an angry woman. And some days I'm a crazy woman. For still waiting, for still loving harder even if I'm aching, for still trusting that I'm still worth the most, for still searching for someone to understand me better. Thank you.
All right. Will Princess's family come on up? And also the Paseo family come on up as well.
Nate, can you go that way? There we go. I want to see ya.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I know that a number of our individuals who were recognized today have left, but this is one of the board meetings that I just thoroughly enjoy. We get an opportunity to showcase the amount of talent from faculty and staff to our students within this school district, and I'm very thankful that we have an opportunity to do that, and I just want to congratulate everybody for a job well done. All right, Mr. Chair, we are at the workshop presentation, and for this presentation, we have two items that we will cover. One on board monitoring, 1.2.1 on graduation, and then we will have a student-parent communications and engagement update to the board.
Okay, well, I'm just going to guess that you're not going to give me all those standing ovations, but
I do have, thank you. Thank you. I am Dr. Christy Harrison, and I am here to give you update around graduation, which I'm excited to give you this update, though. This does meet our strategic plan under pillars A, B, and C, so we are working on that on-time graduation, on our safety nets, and also on our effective practices and our leaders in our buildings. So I need to start with giving you some of the history of the work that we've done around graduation. And we really started a deep dive and a laser-like focus on graduation in 2017. And when we did this, we started to look at our current and our past students' credit attainment. And what we noticed was a trend of students who had just one or two credits to go that had dropped out of school. And then we noticed students with one or two credits left to graduate, but they were on the verge of dropping out of school. So what we just started doing was redesigning our grad labs at the time, is what we called those. And we really started to look at some supports that we could put in for our students so that we could really help them before they became overaged and undercredited. And that's really what we had, the problem that we were noticing there. So we implemented some of the structures that you see there. We implemented our graduation coaches, our middle college, dropout recovery programming, and our virtual programming. Our virtual program at the time served around 12 students. It wasn't really a widely utilized program. During this look at data, and we started to reach out to students, we grew the program to around 200, 250 students, and they were almost all exclusively students who had just a few credits here or there, or something had happened and they were going to drop out of school, and so we were able to recover them through this effort. We had our middle college program that we developed, which was, or is, a dropout recovery program for ages 17 to 24. We implemented graduation coaches, which we had at all of our comprehensive high schools. And these are individuals who are employed in our grad labs, but they don't just work with our students in the credit recovery aspect any longer. They also work with our students on ensuring that they are able to recover in real time. So, for example, a student who maybe has failed 9th grade English in 3rd quarter can recover that while he's still in 3rd quarter and not end up with that F on their transcript. So we're helping the teachers to do that, but then also to help students attain. And then we really beefed up and restructured our dropout prevention and recovery efforts. And so that team really started looking at data and actively working within the community to recover students and to track students. Another piece that we really focused on and implemented is our graduation PLC team. And this is a really huge process that we implemented across the district. This is where we have quarterly, monthly, and weekly meetings. They happen at the district level and all the way down to the building level. So these meetings are where we look at all of the metrics that make up graduation. And we look at those at the district level where we bring the whole teams together, but then we look at those all the way down at the building level where teams are actively looking at this on an ongoing basis. We have, during these PLC meetings, we have professional development where we are focusing on things around best practices. We're looking at MSIP. We're looking at your graduation cohort and how that's calculated and what you need to understand in those pieces. We're not just developing the principal in this process, but the whole team around that. So we're looking at your grad coach, your principal, your registrar, your counselor, your dropout prevention person, and oftentimes your teachers that may make up this team. Then we also implemented, we aligned the work of several departments. So for this PLC process, we didn't just, it's not just like one focus, but we pulled all these different departments that had pieces of graduation here and there, and we came together and we really focused our efforts so that we weren't siloed out anymore, everybody working on a little piece, but we all came together and really streamlined the work. And then we implemented graduation audits and checks where we really are tiering our students based on their readiness to graduate, and that's happening in a systematic way across the entire district. So a student who is a tier 1 for graduation at East is a tier the same as a student who's a tier 1 for graduation at Southeast. It's not different based on the schools. And then through the graduation audits, it allows for another lens for someone else to check the work and make sure that there's no gaps, there's no holes, nobody's missing something on their transcript or any of those pieces. And then we have the project graduation piece in there as well, where our principals are reporting twice a year to leadership on their progress towards graduation. As we really work through this process, you can see some examples of the work at the building level here. So this is an example of a real school in our district. This is the work that they have done of tiering their students. And you can see their cohorts are listed here, and they have identified some areas that they want to focus in on. And then on the next slide, you'll see some of the strategies and efforts that they have put into doing that. So the work is ongoing. It's work that they're continually putting forth and moving forward with. So that brings us to where we are now. So as we look at where we are now, normally I would give you 3 years worth of data, but since I started in 2017, I thought it was important to give you the whole picture here. So when you look at this, you can see we have made steady and regular progress towards graduation. So it is something to really celebrate. When we look at that initial data in 2017, we know that we probably had a higher graduation rate than what is listed there. But the problem is we didn't have systems and structures in place to report some of our students that we were coding as dropout students. They may have gone on to another system or to Job Corps or some other place, and we weren't necessarily tracking those students the way that we needed to. And so now we know, because of all of these processes and procedures, that we have really clean, clear-cut systems without holes in them that are going to catch all of those. So we know our data is accurate, and we have made incremental growth every single year all the way through here. So last year we hit 77.9% with our data, which is still below the state average, and we know that. We still need to close those gaps, but we are making great progress towards that, and we're really pleased with that progress as we move forward. When we look at our growth from the 1920 school year to the 2021 school year, we see that we had growth. When we look at the state's data, there was no growth. That data was just stagnant right there. And so, even the national average is just stagnant. And so I think that's something to be said for the work that we're doing, because we have these processes, because our teams know where our kids are at any given moment. The work can continue for us no matter what. So our goal this year is 80%, and we do feel that we will come very close to that 80% mark. We are, they're still in the process. Obviously, students are still taking courses, and they're still moving through all of that. But we are really on track to hit that number, and we feel like we're gonna make that. We know that we need to continue to make plans. We need to continue to bridge that gap there to get us up to where the state is and ensure that our students make that on-time graduation. And so we're planning forward with some pandemic recoveries. We know that COVID disrupted learning for a lot of students. And so with that, we have our educational innovation team that is meeting with principals to continue to plan for supports and structures to see what are those other options that we need to put out there for students? What are the things that we learned that we need to put in there? One of those was Evening Academy, that we know a lot of students needed an additional option, and we were able to offer that this year. So we have that in-person setting with a non-traditional environment in the evening. Well, we've already learned that in the just the onset of that. We've had great growth. It's going very well, but we have more needs in that. So we're going to continue to expand some options within that program, moving some of our Missouri option programming into there so that we're able to just support and increase what we can do for some of our students there. We're increasing our graduation coach supports across the district. We've already been able to provide those not just at our traditional comprehensive high schools like we did early on, but now we've expanded those into some of our other high schools. Some of our principals have chosen to add on additional sections of that process, and we don't just use that program for supporting those students who have failed, but now we're also able to help students attain credits too. So we have a lot of options there, and we can continue to grow that to be able to help our students. And then we'll continue that intentional focus around tiered monitoring and supports for our students. So we know we have a menu of options right now that will support our students, but we know that we need to continue to look at ways to just take the barriers down and ensure that our students have all that they need as they move forward and matriculate through our system. Have any questions?
Thank you, ma'am. Questions, Ms. Ford?
Thank you for that. That was a lot of great information. I have a couple of questions. So with all of the supports that are put in place, is there a way to pinpoint which of those are the most effective in moving the needle? Do you think it's any one thing that's moving the needle, or is it all of the things in combination?
I don't think it's any one thing. I think it is a combination of all of the things that we've put there. Definitely cleaning up the data and making sure that we're reporting accurate data is huge, because we couldn't even tell you about the supports if we didn't know that. So that's number one. But then I think making sure that we're listening to the students and that we're responsive to the needs that are there that's been just insurmountable for us to be able to hear what they have and then have the ability to go out and just build the programming that we need for them. And we've had great support from our community to be able to do that. And I think so. I think it's just a combination of all of the above.
Okay. And then my next question is, can you kind of share what things are happening to be able to monitor students before they get to high school, on track to high school graduation?
Sure. So our middle schools are, of course, working on, keeping students in school and ensuring that they are learning and their academics are successful. But one of the things that we have also been talking about and is a part of our goals is to bring that graduation PLC process down to the middle schools so that we start looking at how students how they're progressing before they get there. When we started the graduation PLC process, we started very slow, and we started the mindset or the philosophy really was around helping students recover at the 11th and 12th grade. And so we started with, no, we have to start at 9th grade, so let's really focus. And that has been our constant message all the way through. And so now that we kind of have that moved out, and we've really done a lot of professional development around why that freshman year is pivotal. Now our goal is to back up, and now let's look at 8th grade. And we've really been focusing over the last year and a half about understanding from that freshman perspective about why you need to now be looking as they come as a freshman. You need to be looking back to their attendance records. You need to be looking back to, all of that data we have of them as an 8th grader to plan for them as a 9th grader. So we'll be moving some of those processes to be able to support that.
And Ms. Ford, I actually saw today in action when I went over to Paseo, and I had an opportunity to go into a 9th grade class, and was asking the students what were they doing, and it was focus on understanding your GPA, tracking where you are with your grades. I asked one student, tell me how you're doing. She said she has a 3.73 GPA after the first semester, but explained to me today that I have a couple of D's, but I'm going to fix it. She said I was out for COVID, and there were some assignments that the teacher couldn't give me while I was out. I have to make those up, but I'm seeing it in practice where the kids are beginning to have more ownership over their own progress, and that's also kind of a change in mindset. But I saw it today with my own eyes.
Mr. Abarca.
Yeah, so awesome work, obviously. I wanted to ask around, I saw there's, I don't think, 34, the examples of school-level PLC work. I saw the mention of counselors and SEL supports, and I was wondering how much of that plays into it, right? I mean, our counselors, even thinking back to my own process, our counselors were managing so many students that it was very hard to track your highest achievers and your not so high achievers. Is there opportunities there that you feel need to have expanded opportunities for more counselors? I've heard incidentally there are students who seems like need more social work components that alleviate some of that burden on the counselors to supplement. Can you talk a little bit more about kind of opportunities there?
So within the graduation PLC, we have a collaboration between all of the departments. So our counselors, our registrars, our principals, everybody is sitting at the table together working with students. So it's not just that one person. Our graduation coaches are sitting there. So everyone is looking at the data and working through the process. So as far as the day-to-day of like scheduling a student in classes and those kind of aspects, that would be, more of the aspects that I think the counselors would be, but for this particular piece, it's really more a collaboration of everyone. So I think we have so many people that are helping with this that I think we're in a really good space because we have a lot of departments looking around it, and we've been able to then even just pull, if you have an interest in helping with the data team, then you've been able to be a part of that at the school level, which has been really helpful.
And the second question, I guess, is about the consistencies of, I guess, our options and pathways to graduation and making sure that there's sustainability in those models. I understand that some of them are kind of on a grant process at this moment, but giving one of those students 3 years of need, but we only have 2 years of funding, what's our plan to make sure that we can sustain some of these efforts?
So like our middle college is completely grant funded, and we've been really lucky with our middle college to just be able to support all of the work that we've done there through our grant funding. And then our evening academy, we have been able to fund that through our ESSER funding. So, right now we're in very infant stages of our evening academy, but I mean, if we have the success rate of our evening academy that we have of our other programming, then they tend to also be able to support themselves. So I don't see that it'll be a program that we'll be getting rid of. I think you were there just the other day. We have quite a few students enrolled right now. I don't want to quote you a number because I don't know it off the top of my head, but I know there's around 100 students that, are enrolled right now, which for a brand new first year program is huge. So really excited about that piece.
Yeah, and I think that's the point, I guess, from the overall view is how do we sustain it beyond our existence presently, right? And making sure it's solidified into our operations generally and not something that is just continuously grant funded.
And I will tell you that is something that we talk about, though, when we have our meetings with our options folks, though, is just in general is how do we ensure that everything that we do is sustainable, that we're producing results, and if it's not producing results, what do we need to tweak or change so that it is, and then also who do we talk to in the community to ensure that we can be grant funded? Because some of these programs, the middle college, for example, is so widely known around the community. I just believe it's not a program that's going to go away because somebody's going to figure out a way to fund it.
Ms. Wolfsey.
Thank you for the presentation. This area, graduation and working on this, tweaking it over time, what I love about it is it's just you're never ending the improvement process. So in that kind of vein, to my colleague, Mr. Abarca's point, or maybe it was Dr. Bedell actually, that was talking about watching students who are I've seen it in my own students where it clicks how all these pieces fit together about classes I take coming in from 8th grade all the way through 12th, how the GPA is calculated, how I'm ticking off 4 units of ELA, 4 units of, and so I can see it in students. My question is, what is the parent's role in this? I'll show my age a little bit. When I was going through secondary school, you had your parents sign off on a sheet of paper. I'm seeing some nods. I remember getting the sheet that actually I took to my parents to say, this is how I graduate. You know, these are, and then I got to pick my classes, which is the efficacy of me doing that, but there was a sign off. So every year there was this kind of check-in. So where I'm going with this is, I know at one point we had Naviance. I don't know that we're actually, I'd like a little bit of, and it doesn't have to be here, it can be in the Friday update, but knowing, you had spoken earlier tonight, not here, but about ways to use technology to help us do these things a little bit more efficiently, effectively, and so I think there is an opportunity here with bringing parents into this so that they, like the students, can understand, okay, this is, I need to, there's a parent ed opportunity to understand their role in helping us get our students to that graduation goal. Doesn't have to be the traditional path, can be, there's so many wonderful paths that you've now developed, but I don't feel that. I'm a parent and I have not signed any sheets, so maybe I'm telling on my kid right now, but.
Thank you for that. No, I think that's a very good point. And we do still have Naviance, but I definitely think that I agree with you. That is something that we need to do. So we'll make sure that we talk with the counseling and find out.
Ms. Buckner?
Thank you for sharing this, and I'm really excited to see the growth in graduation and credit recovery. So I'm thinking about just like the obstacles and barriers to graduation and the implications that it has for life beyond graduation. And, you know, our goal is like, I think it's bigger than them just crossing the finish line. And so I'm wondering just how many of the students that are enrolled in credit recovery or that we have reached are also enrolled in CTE or organizations, or not organizations, but programs like that. Like, what are we doing to ensure that, you know, life beyond graduation is, that we're preparing them for, you know, life beyond crossing the stage?
Yeah, so we do have a whole CCR, college and career programming that we work through and focus on, and I think Dr. Davis is going to give you an update on that sometime in the future here. But that piece is definitely important. And so we have been able to develop a lot of partnerships within our optional programming that allows for our students that are in those programs to ensure that they're there. For example, our programs that are at manual right now, we have students that are enrolled in our manual programs as well. So our Evening Academy, our Missouri Options program, we've been able to enroll students in both programs. And then, of course, our middle college, our students are enrolled at Penn Valley, either taking classes or earning some sort of technical certificate as well. And then in our schools, we're focused on that. And so we definitely have a strong focus around that. In the grad labs, in the credit recovery specifically, we don't focus on the college and career aspect as much as we focus on the importance of graduation and really just getting to the finish line. And then we really work with the other departments within the building to ensure that we get the students through the rest of that. But we have the whole picture within the school building. But the students don't stay in the credit recovery lab for the whole day. They would just be there for a small portion of time.
So the students that drop out and we bring them back, I guess I'm wondering like what the services look like for them.
So most of those students would be in one of these programs here. Either, they would go to the Missouri Options, Middle College, or something along those lines, maybe the virtual academy. And so those students all have something. So I'm just going to speak about Middle College, for example. That is one of the metrics of our grant, is that we have to ensure that those students have some sort of post-secondary programming. So we do work with not only MCC, but also the Full Employment Council to ensure that those students have some sort of right now they're either enrolled in a class at MCC or they are enrolled in some kind of technical certificate program. So it could be through the Full Employment Council, or it could be right at MCC that they're earning that. So we just kind of work depending upon what the student's interest is in that. And then our Missouri Options program, that's a dropout recovery program. So that's housed at Manual, and those students have the opportunity to enroll in Manual programming. So we work directly with the staff at Manual to schedule their classes so that they are able to attend Manual classes and then also attend their classes right there. And then we're doing the same with Evening Academy and trying to get kids to come in a little bit early and attend some classes at Manual and then also go into their Evening Academy classes. Some of it's a little, some kids are more ready than others, but we have really great partnerships as well with a lot of entities, the two big ones, MCC and FEC, that allow us to help students earn either certificates or college credit that we really focus on and work on. And all of those students, in order to get into any one of those programs, have to have a parent intake meeting. So they sit with a parent and talk and go through all of that.
Just a quick question. When did we start the partnership with Missouri Option students taking courses at Manual? Because that wasn't something that we were doing. That's recent, right?
Yeah, that's this year.
Ms. Cortez.
So I'm going to go backwards first to go forwards. I want to make sure that I understand the percentage. The 80% target, that's 80% of currently enrolled seniors, or that's 80% of any student who has the potential to graduate in this year, or translate that for me.
That's 80% of any student who is in the cohort year that would graduate, that would be a part of that cohort, would reach graduation. We would graduate.
Yeah, so let me just make sure I clarify it. So that is of those kids who are seniors, supposed to be seniors this year. The state also gives you credit for 5th, 6th, and 7th year, which is where you will see a number of students in the middle college and some of those types of programs that will come out. But the actual 80% is based on a 4-year cohort for the students who are seniors.
I just want to make sure I understood that, because all of these other programs are additive to that number, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I guess my other question, in the course of the work that you're doing, and this intersects with some of the other departments, are we developing a sense from the deeper engagement with students to maintain kind of a trajectory toward graduation and engagement after graduation? Are we developing a sense of what retention looks like with these students? Retention meaning our 9th graders who become 10th graders, who become 11th graders, who become 12th graders. How are these interventions allowing us to retain students year over year?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so, because you was up here. So, yeah, what you see, especially on one of the slides, is our focus on just not focusing on the senior cohort. And in order for us to continue to be able to move the needle with the graduation rate, we have a focus on what are we doing as freshmen, what are we doing as sophomores, how do we then monitor the health of what that cohort looks like. So if you look at this slide here, this is just a prime example. We know, because of what happened with the pandemic, these kids who were freshmen last year, they weren't in front of teachers. Their freshman year was all completely online until we came back on March 15th. So now these kids are sophomores, and you look at the percent of them right now that are falling in tier 3 and tier 4. That number is concerning, right? So the health of those kids means that their credit accrual is not where it needs to be to justify, to classify these kids as actual sophomores. So then when you look at the next slide, and this is where we talk about the focus that we have to have on making sure that as we think about like this 2020 solution, these were the kids last year that were out. This is an example of the intentional focus that we will have to try to get these kids caught back up and to be able to get these kids back on track to meet the graduation requirements. So having a much higher survival rate within the cohort as they move up. And so we have made it we've been very intentional that we have to look at every single cohort. And the goal is that by the time they become seniors, we're not having to fight as much with trying to get them across the line because we've done this work early on in tracking them in their 9th, 10th, and 11th grade year. Does that make sense?
It does. I guess I would just encourage us as we're thinking about the data that we're tracking on kids is year over year, are these interventions, the earlier we make them, having an effect on our ability to retain kids from the point at which we start that engagement all the way through. Not just as an aggregate cohort, but you know, if our entering freshman class is 100 kids at Northeast, are we graduating 90% of those kids who entered as freshmen? I mean, because in theory, if we are working this intensely with our students and kind of helping them develop the confidence and the hope that they will progress all the way through high school, that should, in theory, increase our ability to retain those students all the way through graduation.
I would agree with you, but there's a caveat: mobility. Because what we do know is the ones that do stay with us, those kids are performing far above what our graduation rate is. The ones that stay with us for 4 years, and we've been able in the past to dissect that, and if we need to do that again to show. But we know that we do lose some, but that mobility piece is a very difficult variable to overcome when you talk about the ability to have 9 out of 10 kids that started with us in the 9th grade stay. So that's a factor, but I totally hear you. Totally. Makes total sense.
Dr. Jones?
My question kind of goes back to engagement around people selecting their classes and that sort of thing. I know some districts, they have parent meetings at the beginning of every school year or right before the school year starts, and so they talk about, you know, what credits you need or people should have and what types of classes people should be selecting from. Do we do that sort of thing at each school, or?
I don't know exactly how they're planning to do that right now. Dr. Woodley, do you know the answer to her question?
Yeah, so each school kind of does it a little bit differently, but we have our freshman orientation days, our junior orientation days. What we do have is we're really doing a big push right now with Navient to make sure that every parent is able to have those engagement meetings where they're able to get that login information to make sure that we do it, because we're doing a 6-year plan to make sure every 9th grader has a plan from from 8th grade all the way through to post-secondary. So we're really working closely with our CCR task force to kind of make that happen. But every year in the beginning of the year that we do have those meetings for parents to come in. Now the piece that Jennifer Wilson talked about with those signatures, of course, I've been jumping up and down about that. I want every parent to know that your child is not, you don't need to wait till the end of the year to know that your child is not doing well. So they need to be able to say your child is not meeting and you need to come in to have a meeting with us about why they're not meeting standards. And so that's what we're getting to make sure that we are having those conversations earlier, because we're being a little reactive instead of being proactive in that area. Okay.
Ms. Wolfsey.
So I think this goes under the heading of an item that I'd like to see if we could ask for. Do we have the graduation rate information by subgroups or by demographic? Could we get it in the Friday update? Not like right away, but like that would be, I think that's something that I would be interested, like male, female, you know, there are so many IEP or special ed, you know, all the subgroup categories. What was that, by school? Yeah. And then, so that would be one request, if Dr. Bedell, if that's possible. And then another metric, I'm thinking in terms of like just KPIs that are helpful for the board to understand kind of over time how this is moving. And what you were saying about, when you were saying retain, I was thinking it in a different way, but that cohort number, because we know, we talk about it a lot, like you start with 100, but you graduate 25, you know, we know what that is. But I don't know what that cohort number is, but I think there's something there in a KPI number, like how many freshmen, and maybe it is related to mobility. I'm trying to get a handle on, in a freshman class, how many get up to sophomore in hours or whatever it is they're supposed to, and how many of those that don't, is that something we can control or something we can't? So controllable versus non-controllable, which is, or uncontrollable, which would be because of moving. Like we can't control when a student moves, but everything else inside that building kind of is, I guess, theoretically in our control. So I'm not being very clear, but I think you get the sense about a cohort KPI would be helpful, I think.
Okay.
All right, Dr. Bedell, I think I will transition us into the final topic for the night.
All right, so for the final topic, student-parent communications and engagement, we'll bring Kelly Waitrue up to present.
Good evening, board and Dr. Bedell. Before I start, I wanted to take a quick moment to introduce members of my team who are here tonight, who help compile information and carry out the work. So if you can wave back there in the back, Lynn Gehring, Justin Robinson, Tanoa Foster, Camila Alvarez, and Courtney Adams. Thank you all for being here this evening. So these are the strategic plan goals and measures that we use to do our yearly update in front of the board, from Pillar B to Pillar D, all revolving around climate, relationships, families, community, and effective and efficient systems. You have seen a lot of these slides before in previous history and context as we do our monthly updates for the marketing piece, but wanted to briefly go through these and show you some of the progress we're making on these marketing collateral pieces throughout the spring, rolling into a heavy recruitment season for us. Again, these are our enrollment marketing recruitment plans per school. You see Gladstone here for their enrollment goals through school year 24, as well as the ambassador team at that school level that we work with to ensure really good recruiting teams, ambassador teams are in place. Wanted to take a moment to highlight some pieces of our collateral that have been really part of our workload over the past month and a half. This is a postcard direct mail piece that are going out currently where we're highlighting our families, a family quote, as well as contact for Tanoa, our student recruiter, and a little bit about Gladstone, going to those families in the area so they receive information about their neighborhood school. I also wanted to note that you have a lot of these pieces in front of you. We gave you some sample pieces of our marketing collateral at the dais, as well as the family engagement plan that Ms. Wolfsey had asked for at board prep. We'll get to that in a moment. But what we want to highlight here, these are some sample digital ads as well as one of our billboards that we have in our Gladstone neighborhood. For those charter schools or for those elementary schools that are outperforming charter schools, we wanted to very much call that out on our billboards in these neighborhoods. So we're using that as a strategy and tactic to, again, just put it out there that we are outperforming charter schools in this area. And then you can see our tagline here that we've been using, where everyone is welcome. This is one of the other pieces of collateral that you have a sample of. This is a top part of one of our slip sheets where we talk about a family, give an example of them, and a quote from them about why they love their school, why they chose that school, and why that school is the best for their family. This is the bottom half of that flyer where we talk about the specific characteristics and benefits of attending a school like Gladstone. And then like we talked about earlier, we're starting to put that data out there around academic achievement. So attendance rates very high here, exceeding ELA standards, math standards, and then making sure that we call that out as we go to recruitment events and hand out this collateral and have this collateral available for our families who might go to Gladstone Elementary. This is just another sample. We wanted to show you Wendell Phillips collateral. Again, the messaging of environments that are safe, nurturing, where everyone is welcome and committed to fostering student success, and then showing student faces of students who attend that school. And this is the bottom half of that slip sheet again, talking about academic progress, data around that school, and support for every child and what might be specifically relevant for that school. This is KCPS homeroom. You've seen this slide before as it relates to our data from season 1 and for season 2. Again, looking at the programming for our pre-K students, our life after, which is highlighting our alumni currently, having conversations with them, hosted by Chris Odom. And then we also have our culinary segment where we cook on TV as well. This is something that we're looking at. How does this program evolve? What does this look like possibly in the future? And evaluating what that future is for KCPS homeroom. Future planning. As you know, we're working with Holdsworth Communications and Soda Pop Graphics. These phases that we're currently in, research phase is completed. You guys have initial recommendations that were sent to you in December that we're going through, talking about the processes and function of our marketing and communications team. And then we're currently in our media buy strategy review. We're also currently in our pipeline and sales funnel process review with Dr. Holdsworth and with Soda Pop Graphics right now. And then just to kind of call out that last bullet point, Soda Pop is a subcontractor that Dr. Holdsworth and our team is working with. They have lots of expertise in this whole email campaign, follow through research component of how we best use our email campaigns. And so they're working with the enrollment team right now on communication specifically after the lottery and accepting seats and communicating from that point of application is done, and now what are your next steps? Successes, you all have seen these again as we talked through Dr. Bedell's goals and activities for the year. These are pretty good lists of recruiting activities that we've done thus far this year, from community events to Show Me KC school partnerships to virtual tours. You did see that sample virtual tour last month of East High School and how we're using those videos to recruit kids to our school district. Successes, again, partner visits, neighborhood associations, and apartment multifamily housing. Wanted to give kudos to Tanoa Foster sitting back here. Tanoa has very much nurtured a relationship with Amethyst Place, which is a homeless shelter. And so directly working with our relationship manager and moms there, we have directly enrolled students from those moms who are currently living there from that relationship. Family and community engagement. This is a recap overview of engagement events to date. Again, you've seen this slide before. One of the things that I wanted to highlight is parent organizations, our SAC, PTA, PTOs, and others. We have bumped the number of parent organizations at school sites from the beginning of the year, and you have that data in front of you with the specific schools and where we're working to focus on getting those organizations established if they currently don't have a PTO, PTA, or a SAC at their schools. I did see Dion Lewis back here earlier too. Dion's part of our overall DAC executive committee, and he and the DAC executive team are very much working on these focus schools with us to ensure that schools have SACs and are up and running according to policy. All right. More successes around family and community engagement. You guys have been very much in tune to the Blueprint 2030 engagement that we've been conducting over the course of 2 years. This is simply a recap of the data that you've seen in our workshops so far around how we've engaged through our Blueprint 2030 process. And as we embark upon the next phase with scenarios, looking forward to having that conversation with you about how all those scenarios get rolled out and the timeline for that. we are very proud of the amount of news stories, one, that we work with, collaborate on, and partake in and participate in. And also from news stories to social media, we're very proud of our engagement and our growth, starting from 7/1, our fiscal year, through January. So again, looking at 714 total news stories is really impressive. KCPS tends to be a source to which lots of outlets go for information, whether it's around the state and state policy, or it's just stories around education in general, because we are good partners, because we respond quickly and we get them what they need as far as reporters very quickly. And so this positive number versus negative number, again, very impressive as you look at school districts and the context for school districts. And again, the remaining part of that positive negative is neutral, where just simply news items that we send out that might not have a positive or a negative slant. One thing we're proud of is our growth on Instagram. We've had a very concerted effort this year to grow our Instagram audience. We know that a lot of our parents are on Instagram, and we have a lot of students who also follow our Instagram account, and students find Instagram a little bit more relevant than they do Facebook and Twitter at this point. Timelines and action plans. This is what's coming up for us here in the future as far as timelines go. Our next edition of Our Voice magazine is coming out. It will be in the mail next week. On the left, you see the new cover. This edition will be all about accreditation and our celebration and where we're going from here as it relates to accreditation and achievement. You see, again, some of our social posts. That's the big billboard in the lower right that we had around the city celebrating our full accreditation. And then again, this upper right tweet about the Prime Report, academic growth. How do we continue in our action plans to stress that academic achievement is our priority? The academic achievement is why we're in public education, serving the students that we have in KCPS. Barriers, we're currently in our legislative session. You guys are getting daily, if not daily, updates from Ms. Quinley, from Ms. Woofsey and our government relations team about what's happening at the legislative level. We did have ESSER funds up here as a potential barrier, but those did get released from the federal level to the state level. We're very grateful that those got released to us and will be used for ESSER 3 coming up in the next year. And then again, I continue to have declining public school enrollment trends as a barrier for us, as a trend that's happening across the country. And then we just put some quotes here. This was around the ESSER funding, again, being someone in a department that reporters look to provide context and guidance around legislative issues at this moment. So action items, again, we have Holdsworth and Soda Pop on here. And from that for the first three bullet points that we talked about earlier, the fourth one being scenario engagement planning, and then the fifth one being budget planning for our department for 22-23. And that ends my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Rachel. Questions? Ms. Woofsey.
Thank you for the presentation. So this monitoring report is around student and parent communications and engagement. So one of the things, you're on slide 40, it's the pillar B, strong relationships with families and community and data-informed, effective, efficient systems.
Mm-hmm.
As it relates to these student-parent communications and engagement,
Mm-hmm.
can you describe to me what the goal, what are the goals to be able to reach strong relationships with families and communities? I'm having a hard time seeing what the actual goals are in the presentation.
Okay, so I'm going to go to a slide. I feel like I missed a slide here. Oh, I didn't miss that. Well, if we want to look at goals, are you asking about maybe percentage of people who are engaged, or how we monitor communication that goes out?
My thing keeps going off. Yes, I mean, I'm trying to understand from a monitoring standpoint, what are the goals for this particular effort, and how are you then, what are those measures, those KPIs?
Mm-hmm.
So I just am trying to kind of find them in here. What goals is your department using to basically under the heading of, let's just stay with parent communications. How did you go about coming up with the goals around strong relationships with families and communities?
Sure. So I'll also have my team come up in a minute, but the strong community and family engagement, the framework that you have in front of you from Ms. Adams talks a little bit about that framework and what goals would be in that document. But as far as overall KPIs and goals, I don't know that I didn't include that in this presentation. And I guess from a board perspective, are those decided upon by the board or our own team when we looked at the KPIs and strategic plan? Are those decided upon by you or by our team? Because we have a communication plan, we have goals, strategic tactics, and that. That's that overall 12.5 marketing and communication plan. But I did not include specific goals related to the output of these items.
So
here.
yeah, it's like just very simply like parent communications. I'm a parent. I get communications. I would hope that we, the Kansas City Public Schools, and so has in mind what are the goals as it relates to parent communications, that you've established those, and that you have, and they're SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound, and that there are key performance indicators that you use to then say, oh, okay, we're on track for this. That's where the data, effective and efficient systems. So when I send out emails to parents, I am getting this much click-through, this much engagement.
Yes.
Okay. And so those I know are also in the marketing, but there's also building strong relationships with parents. I'm struggling with how you establish the goals, and then what you're using. Like, what was the plan after you established the goals? What were the strategies to get there? The metrics that you're measuring, and whether or not you're actually making progress towards those goals, which we're not going to hit everything 100% of the time. We are realistic. But how do you, as communications, know you're actually meeting where you want to be, and then how do you adjust and tweak and move on? So I was just having a hard time seeing that. And it could be that that can be provided, I guess, in a Friday update. I know we did get the enrollment update, but to me, this was just a little bit different: student-parent communications and engagement. And you're right, I did get this, and I'm very happy. I just unfortunately did not have a chance between yesterday and today to read it.
Right,
so
yeah, that was asked for.
I'm
so
not
make sure we
prepared to
provided it.
ask any questions on that one.
Yeah, so I definitely understand your question. I just want to make sure that we were on the same page with what those KPIs are, what those goals are, and that we have our communications marketing plan, that we have all of those goals and the measurements in there. So I came to this slide specifically. So our weekly news, staff news, and our advocacy news, this is a example that we use. Every week we send out our weekly KCPS-E news. We do watch our open rates, we do watch our click-through rates, we do watch who's opening that. And so we have seen an increase this year in the number of people who are reading that consistently, particularly on our weekly e-news side, and we've tried to finesse the timing of that and the content of that. And then KCPS staff news as well, we have a consistent, it's almost like 60% of our staff members who open on a regular basis, they do see that as a source of information. Advocacy e-news, that's a Monday issued, and we look at the open rates on that too. But the point is here, like, yes, we do monitor that. If we have goals to increase open rate for weekly e-news, we don't have that specifically. We can set those, but we don't have those targeted, or have those specifically for these pieces of communication.
And may I add one more, and then I'll move on. So that's great to hear about these particular communications. So one of the things that I'd also be interested in from a parent communication or even student communication standpoint is those are all district to parent type communications. I would like to learn more about what schools to their parents and schools to their students are actually doing. Because I think that is another opportunity under this particular I always forget what we're monitoring, but yes, under this, because I know that some schools have that pretty consistently, and it is, I think if you went in and measured like how parents feel connected to that school, the level of climate and culture for that school, the level of a parent feeling like they understand what's going on in that school, I think would register pretty high. But I'm not entirely sure that we have that consistently across all schools within the district. So that again would be something that I would kind of hope to see in here in the future.
Is how many schools have weekly communication? What kind of communication is going directly to their parents and
Yeah, I
students from
think
the school level?
That's kind of where I go back to the goals thing. Is like if the goal is strong relationships with family and communities, is one of those things that could be developed as a strategy is consistent school to parent, school to student communication that covers maybe different levels of topics that then allow you to just continue to build that positive relationship between the school and the family, or the school and the student, and deliver a higher level of customer service to our families.
Got it.
Mr. Abarca.
Yeah, I guess I was going to ask similar questions around some of this, and not to drag on. I mean, I think mine was more around, since the slide is up, how do you all measure what comes to you versus what you're building and expanding, right? Because as I look at the neighborhoods associations, these are some of the most active neighborhood associations within the city, and I know that these would reach out to us and say, hey, I want you to come and present to us. And so I don't know that that's a measure necessarily that I would say is a success, because they reached out to us versus us reaching out to them. So my measure here would be, how are we expanding to the other neighborhood associations, and what is our strategy to get to that point? And that is one of the questions, is how do we grow in those ways, not just to neighborhood associations, but externally. Some of these things just naturally occur and invite us. How do we, or what is our strategy to build an effective system collectively, externally, that engages folks to us?
Sure. Lynn and Tanoa, do you want to talk a little bit about, I'm picking on the spot, but do you want to talk a little bit about outreach strategies specifically with these and how we're going beyond those? Oh, it's what we do.
Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Tanoa Foster, and I am the student recruiter here. My goal really is, with all of these different partners, is to really just keep in contact throughout the year, not just right before our fall registration or our fall enrollment. Really trying to build those relationships throughout the entire school year, so that we're not trying to catch up or quickly develop a relationship. So that's really what my goal personally has been for this school year, is to just keep those open communications about not only what we have, programs that we have, but also programs that some of our Head Start or daycare partners are doing as well.
And to continue on with that, so one of the things, like what she's doing with Amethyst Place, up until this year, they were not recommending families to go to any KCPS schools. And that's just kind of like the long and the short of it. And so what Tanoa's done is like build that relationship, cultivate it, and from there, she's been able to showcase and walk families through the school and help them with the enrollment process and everything that goes along with it. So that's one piece of it. We're working with our partners like Kansas City Library. How can we not only maximize our relationship so we can get out and see our families, but also how can we help them as well? So it's reciprocal. It's not just a one-way street. Looking for ways that we can get out into the public, like the Brookside Parade, weather permitting, and things along that lines. So it's really all about building relationships, and what we've found, especially with pop-ins at the parks in 2020 and 2021, is that parents come up, they have questions, they need to find something. Lo and behold, maybe their kid does not go to a KCPS school, but we're going to help them find it, find the answer, give them our number, give us a call if you need anything. And when the time comes that they decide, I don't want to go to that school anymore, they give us a call and we get them enrolled. So it's relationships, one parent at a time, one partner at a time.
And just to piggyback off of that, especially with the Amethyst Place, we're also developing those relationships and telling them not only about our schools, but the different programs that we have for those non-traditional students, our middle college program, or evening academy. That's something that a lot of our partners and a lot of our community members are not aware of. So we want to let them know that we're not just trying to develop those relationships so that they can enroll their students, but we're trying to develop those relationships just so they know that what KCPS has to offer as a whole.
Thank you for that, the incidental component there. I think that is helpful. I still think there's probably more to understand. What is the strategies? Do you add 5 more next year? Do you add 10 more 2 years from now in terms of building the reach? I'll move on to trying to understand some more components of this. Around the engagement component, I participated in my school's parent meeting, and I worry that although yes, we had one and there's 20 some odd people that I think attended, when they started to ask parents questions about true engagement, the parents were so deer in the headlight to they couldn't even respond, right? And one of the questions that was asked was, how would you spend which now Linda tells me is $20,000, and there was no parent response in terms of what they would impact in their school. And that tells me that parents, obviously we know this from COVID, but we didn't prepare them to participate necessarily in a good way. And I'm not saying that from your end as much as just showing proof that we need to authentically engage, I think, beyond just create an opportunity for them to show up and listen. Because I worry that after 2 or 3 of these people they're gonna bounce out and they're not gonna come back. And so trying to understand the strategies, how do you keep them there, how do you retain them? And I'll throw that back over to you.
Yeah, and I'll have Ms. Adams come up too. So Courtney and I were having the same discussion as it relates to, I'm going to take DAC for example. We have these wonderful topics every quarter where we talk to parents about health and wellness. We talk to them about financial literacy. We talk to them about the student code of conduct. But my question is revolving around when I visit with her is, are these the meaty things that parents really want to talk about? How can we talk to them about just how their kids are doing? Do they feel like they're supported? Do they have what they need in their community to thrive at school? And so I've really been pushing to, while we have agendas and we have topics, how do we make space for our parents to have that conversation like you're talking about? Just talk about themselves and their kids and how they're feeling about their school and what we can do to support them. So that point is well received, and I'd like to shift our mindset a little bit from topic initiated agendas to how we feel about our schools and what we're doing well and what we're not doing well, and have that real conversation. As I went to the Lincoln Prep SAC a couple weeks ago to have the blueprint conversation, really parents just want to talk about how their teachers are going to be affected in this, what the schools are going to look like, how many schools we're going to have, and what the academic programming looks like. And they just want to have real open conversations about that, and we spent about 45 minutes just having that open conversation. So your point is well received, and I'd like to see us start pivoting to those more free-flowing conversations versus that structured topic every time. And I think our school, whether our SAC or PTAs, could definitely benefit from that approach as well. Courtney, do you want to add to that?
And I think the responsibility falls on our school personnel and our educators to have more training for them to know how to create those spaces and be able to engage in those types of conversations and provide capacity building training. So I think my responsibility is to help provide the school with capacity building training so that they are then able to partner better and more effectively with the family. So creating those opportunities for meaningful engagement, what does that look like? It's well beyond parent organizations, right? Only a very, very small amount of people are going to have the capacity to truly participate fully in that process. Like you said, it's like 25 people. Most schools don't have, I mean, they might have that. And that's on a good day. And so it's looking at working with the schools to create a variety of opportunities for meaningful engagement and partnership. And some of that, Kelly and I have been talking about, creating more training opportunities at the school level and at the district level for our parent leaders and those interested in being leaders, to help them, again, better partner with our schools. But for me, it is working with the schools, offering more trainings and professional development so they know how to work with our families better.
The last one I was just going to ask about the impact of your mailers. What is the strategy and how you're mailing that out? Because I know before I had a student in the system, I was getting mailers from other school systems, and I was like, how are you targeting me here? So just trying to understand that.
Lynn, you go too, but two examples of that is we currently have our new movers postcards out. Anyone who has a child who moves into a neighborhood boundary receives a postcard as a new mover into KCS boundaries and their neighborhood school. In addition to that, we're getting ready to launch our, I'm calling it transition grade direct mailers. So if you're going into middle school, you're going to get a middle school direct mail piece. And then if you're going into high school, you're going to get a high school direct mail piece with all the high school options, your neighborhood option, and our signature school options as well. So those are two examples, but Lynn, do you have anything beyond that you want to share? Yeah. Okay.
So you asked specifically about how do we target and identify. So we are working with a vendor and we're being very cautious because I'm like really stingy with my money and I want to make sure that we maximize it. So with that being said, we work with them and they actually go through and target household families. And so we are going through and making sure, like with the 8th grade or the middle school transition, not only are we going to send it to our current 6th graders to make sure that they are choosing a KCPS school for 7th grade, but we've also went through and targeted households that indicate that they have 5th or 6th graders. So then we can also delve that up to them. In addition, our 8th graders, the postcards will go to them as well as other households. And then looking at our top focus schools, because we don't have a ton of money to do postcards for every single school, we're focusing in really on key opportunities. For those schools, we are actually going through and targeting families again and making sure that they, we're doing something a little unique with that, but targeting from that perspective and looking at a couple other indicators to make sure that it's not just going a mass mailing, but it's actually hitting really, we're being very specific with who we're hitting. Yeah, and we're trying to find ways that we layer. So I talk about marketing isn't just one piece. It's making sure it's all these different pieces in a puzzle, and when they all come together, they make the beautiful picture.
Okay, Ms. Wolfsey, I'm going to try to crystallize your question from earlier. Tell me if I'm completely off base by
This should be really good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm trying to get in your crazy head, so we'll see how this goes. So I'm going to use Ms. Wolfsey's point around the strategic goals and measures, specifically the strong relationships, just as an example to try to illustrate what I think Ms. Wolfsey was trying to say and sort of get the conversation into. Strong relationships, in order to have a goal, right, we got to understand how do we define strong relationships. You may have a definition of how the district defines that, as well as a safe climate. And then you go into, what are the metrics that you're going to use to measure whether or not we're building strong relationships. And then from there, you'll figure out, okay, what's our goal? But in order to get to your goal, you got to know what your baseline is, right? So we're defining strategic relationships. We know where we have those and where we don't based on the metrics we've defined. And then that helps you get to a goal, right? We're at 20% strong relationships, whatever your metric is. Our goal is to go to 25% from there. And I think that's the piece that I'm having a hard time understanding with all of the different strategies and tactics is what are our specific goals? How do we define what those goals are? And then what are the metrics we're using to track whether or not we're making progress, leveraging all of the strategies and tactics?
Yes, makes complete sense. Yeah, makes complete sense. So Courtney's going to come back up. She has one thing to add, but specifically in the family engagement realm, increasing strong partnerships, strengthening engagement, that engagement piece is going to be one of Dr. Bedell's evaluation goals next year, and when we talk about that as it relates to KPIs and all the goals associated with that engagement piece, we do have specific numbers that we're going to want to hit in there, from a baseline customer service survey to a dashboard that we want to set up to make sure that we're having these organizations at every single school and how many and how much we're growing. So that's going to be one goal that we do have to check off: goals, metrics, and strategies associated with that. But as far as the overall marketing communications, what I think I'd like to do is pull that big document that I have sent to you guys before, and we can go through that. I just did not include them as presentation, but we can pull that and we can go through those in a Friday update. But I want to have Courtney talk a little bit specifically about the family engagement piece, as it does have those metrics associated with it.
Thank you. One of the things I was going to say actually is that we have been working on those to include in Dr. Bedell's evaluation. A challenge has been no vehicle method platform system for tracking or measuring engagement across the district, not at the school level and certainly not at the district level. I am unfortunately not aware of so many great things that are happening in our school buildings. And so one of the big goals that you'll see in the evaluation piece for next year is to create to get those baseline measurements and then create a system for schools to report what's going on, measuring these few things. We're also going to add some more questions to the annual stakeholder survey and our culture and climate survey, so that I'm able to look at, from my lens, what family and community engagement looks like, and be able to touch our families without adding another data request, not a whole other survey, just kind of incorporating with the existing surveys. One of the big goals too, and you'll see this in the framework in terms of essential conditions of effective partnerships, is being able to integrate family engagement in all of the department goals. And so there has to be a mindset shift, looking at not as family engagement as a responsibility of one department. It is shared responsibility at our schools, and it is not an add-on, it is a value add, in that it is an instructional strategy. Strong partnerships increase academic outcomes in social emotional learning. And so we're having discussions on how to incorporate our family engagement goals into each of the academic goals and the learning goals and the social emotional goals and the graduation goals and all of these other goals, versus I hope it be seen as a separate thing. And so that way also I believe our schools will be, I'm losing my words here, but not necessarily more buy-in is not what I'm trying to say, because I know they know that it's important, but integrate into the things that they're already doing. So family engagement has to be part of this whole system, and not here's family engagement, here's marketing, here's this, here's that. There needs to be, if an academic goal is to increase ELA performance by 20%, and there are all these academic related goals, there needs to be one or two family engagement goals too. What do the parents need to know? What is the school's responsibility to the parents? So you see my passion for this, but those systems have not been in place before, and I am committed to getting those in place, doing a lot of planning this spring and this summer to make sure that in the fall we're ready to get those baselines measured. The trainings are in place. We've worked with the academic team and the other departments on setting some family engagement goals. So you'll see a plan for those. I don't know if you'll see what you want to see from this past year, because we haven't been tracking those at the district level as well as we could have been, because there's been no mechanism to track that. But we want to get that going for next year, because we know that that's important.
Ms. Wolsey.
I just wanted to make the clarification, Ms. Rachel, since you had mentioned the enrollment plan, which to me, these are different goals. When you come and you do that monitoring report, it is enrollment, marketing and enrollment, but to me, in a way, I put that under acquisition. This, to me, is more about retention and customer service when we talk about student and parent communications and engagement. So I was making a distinction, Mr. Abarca, I didn't necessarily need to know all the targeting and whatnot, because I'm looking, and I would expect, and maybe Dr. Bedell, this may be something that the board and your administration need to kind of get on the same page about. Remember how when we did monitoring and we said, these are all the things we're going to monitor and what we believe the goals and KPIs would be. We may need to do a reset on these two goals around enrollment, marketing, acquisition, recruitment. So kind of, I'm seeing some opportunity to get a little more clear, so you're not trying to figure out what we need. Does that make sense?
I appreciate that, because I think I came after these were probably established and there was a progress monitoring, I want to say template, and so trying to use this template, I felt like, yes, I think that's right. I would really appreciate that, and that would be very much helpful to give you what you ask for versus what I think we need to provide.
Okay, I think we're good. Thanks, Ms. Rachel. All right, Dr. Bedell, I think that's the end of the superintendent report.
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, June, we'll toss it over to you for a review of tonight's action items.
As soon as the computer comes up. Okay. The first one was ways to use technology. Naviance is an example. Talk with the, I put on here, and to talk with the counseling department. What is the opportunity to help parents understand their role to getting the student to graduation? Okay, thank you. The second one relates graduation as well. Do we have the graduation rate info by subgroup and by demographics and by school? I'll send that off to you, Mr. Rand. Cohort number. What is the cohort number and what is the KPI number in a freshman class? How many get to sophomore in hours? For those who don't, do we know why? Does that make sense?
I don't necessarily need to know for those that don't, do we know why yet part. I'm trying to get to just a key performance indicator on that cohort. I think you understand what I'm trying to get to. Okay.
Sorry about that. Communication and engagement goals, retention and customer service. What are the SMART goals that relate to parent engagement? We're looking at consistent communication across schools to parents. Yes? No? Thank you, if you could work with me on that one. And then the last one was the reset on the policy monitoring schedule regarding marketing and customer service goals.
Yeah, yeah, we can work on that one too.
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Bedell, you want to give us a preview into the next board meeting?
Okay, yes, it is. Making sure I have the right thing. Yep. All right, so the three items that we'll ask the board to take action on at the next board meeting is the AFT Classified Collective Bargaining Agreement for 22-23 in the amount of $570,900. Gibson Consulting at $740,467, and the lawn firm at $375,000.
Sounds good. Anything else from the board? No? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you, guys.